What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Monday, November 6th. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also available online. SportsTalk1051.com. You got your Google and Alexa home devices. The app and video stream up and rolling early this morning. Hopefully, all had a fantastic weekend and, well, you're ready to hit up a brand new week here this morning. Victory Monday. Finally got a little bit of a Victory Monday to get to here, too. Been a while. It's been since September 24th. So if you're a Packers fan, I mean, we've had other victories and such. But, Victory Monday, football, Packers, that sort of stuff. So Packers picking up the W yesterday, 20-3 against the Los Angeles Rams. We're going to be hitting that up. Badger football, ugly loss to the Hoosiers of Indiana on Saturday. Oh, yuck. 5-4 now on the season for this Badger football team. Man, what team, between the Packers and the Badgers so far this season, it's been some frustrating football if you're a fan of both those ball clubs there. Man alive. But hey, at least we got Badger men's hockey and the Badger volleyball team too. But Badger men's hockey, third straight week that they defeated an opponent ranked higher than them. Sweep it, Michigan. How about that? Badger men's hockey. Mike Hastings and crew. Mike Hastings with his first season as the head man for the Badger men's hockey team. What a start to the season he has had. Shout out. That's easily a stud right there for our studs and duds. No doubt about it. So, but we're going to hit all that up. We've got some hoops talk. Bucks back in action tonight, going up against the Nets of Brooklyn, visiting the Brooklyn Nets. We've got some baseball chat. Could we finally be getting closer to a decision on the Craig Counsell front? That's according to John Hyman from the New York Post. That could be today, could be in the next couple of days here when we finally find out what the plan is going to be for Craig Counsell. Essentially deciding where he's going to manage. Is it going to be with the Brewers? Is it going to be with the Mets? Could the Cleveland Guardians sweep in there and take him from both those ball clubs? It sounds like we may know here any minute now, any day now. We'll hit that up. We've got JC and the EC, Justice Cleveland, joining us at 7:30. We'll catch up on some of the local stuff that's been going on. We've got football starting to wrap up. One more game for 11-man football, 11-player football. One more game to decide who's going to state. 8-player football. We already know those state matchups. Thorpe defeating Chippewa Falls McDonald. So Thorpe's going to be competing at the state championship. St. Croix Falls for volleyball coming home with a state championship. We've got swimmers going to state too. So Blue Gold's going to be wrapping up their football season. They felt a stout this past weekend. So lots to catch up on with Mr. JC and the EC, Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire. We've got studs and duds. Who are your studs and duds? Hit us up with the text, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. So that's the rundown. That's what's on the game plan this morning. What do we got on the leadoff? Let's talk a little Green Gold because it's been a while since we've actually talked about a victory Monday. So that's where we're leading things off here this morning. Packers with the 20-3 victory over the Rams. Jordan Love going 20 for 26. Anybody who wanted that completion percentage to go up for Jordan Love, it definitely went up yesterday. Quarterback rating of 115.5, 1 touchdown pass. Packers sticking with the run, unleashing Aaron Jones, 20 carries for 73 yards. Overall, the team rushed the ball 38 times for 184 yards. That's 4.8 yards per carry. Obviously, the Packers did not have to deal with Matthew Stafford as he did not play in this game. Brett Rippon getting the call, getting the starts, and the Packers defense not allowing a backup quarterback to come into Lambeau Field and put up a bunch of points against them. He went 13 of 28 for 119 yards. The Packers, for the second week in a row for run defense, putting out a solid performance, holding the Rams to just 68 yards rushing on 26 carries. Oh, you math wizards out there, that's 2.6 yards per carry. Holding Cooper Kupp to just 2 catches for 48 yards. Puka for 3 catches, 32 yards. Say what you want. I know it was a backup quarterback situation, but given how the Packers have looked this entire season, nothing is a given for the Packers. Nothing is a given. They went into this game starting a 7th-round rookie at safety, a 7th-round rookie at corner. Quay Walker was out. Rudy Ford was out. We already knew Savage was out, so you had a couple backups starting at safety over there. Kenny Clark left the game due to a shoulder injury. Packers defense played well. Give credit to where credit is due. Was it against the best offense in the world? Obviously not. It wasn't. But still, give them credit to where credit's due. They did their job. They did what they were supposed to do. So, Packer, and that was on top of the offense, a couple times there trying to try to let the Rams back in this game, especially after the second half. Couple fumbles there from Wicks, and then Aaron Jones coughing up the football too. So it looked like I know I'm not the only one watching that game thinking, oh boy, are they just going to let them hang around? Right? They're going to let them hang around. Giving up the ball a couple times there. Rams are going to tie this thing up, or even, gosh forbid, take the lead there a little bit. But the defense held their own. Give them credit. Jair Alexander looked good getting the team ball after the game too. He said before the game that this was the healthiest and the best that he felt all season long. Probably could have gave one to Jonathan Owens over there too. I thought he played fantastic. So if you were to give some game balls out yourself, who would you be giving some game balls out to for this game, for this Packers game? Now, I don't think anybody, I hope nobody is, maybe except for the ever optimistic G-Man out there, I hope we're not, thinking, okay, the Pack is, I know some of the players are having fun with this after the game. Pack is back, going to go on a run, Super Bowl, all that sort of stuff. Let's pump the brakes here a little bit, right? Let's pump them here a little bit. But it's always good to get a win. Victory Monday, feeling good after, these 4 weeks, and then Rasul Douglas being traded off, a lot of questions about this team, chit-chat and media and Jordan Love and all that. Those guys felt good about that win from yesterday. So, but let's break it all down here. Coming up on the leadoff, taking a look at this win, recapping it. What stood out to you? What were some of the things that outside of maybe the obvious stuff out there, but anything kind of the positives that you take away from this game besides the W, besides the win? Jordan Love, how did you think he looked? Some people thought maybe was that his best game of his career, even over the Chicago game. Saw some people talking about that, at least on the socials over there. What was some of the things that you stood out? Kind of think outside the box here a little bit too. All right, kind of think a little bit outside the box here with this, outside of just the win. Okay, and I'm sure there's going to be some. There's going to be some. There's going to be some fans that, probably want the Packers just to lose out so they get the higher draft picks. There's going to be that too. There's draft picks at stake here, high draft picks at stake here. So there's going to be some fans like that. But I still like wins. I like opening up Monday mornings when we're talking some positivity and talking some wins here. So I got a couple things that stood out to me. And I know we are halfway through this Packer season. Not quite halfway through the entire NFL season. We got one more game going tonight here, but we've kind of got, we got to look at some report cards and that sort of stuff and see where everything's at. We're at kind of what, the semester? Is it this semester? I can't remember. It's been forever since school. We're almost on like winter break. How about that for college? But we're halfway through the season. So second quarter grades. If you had to grade this team, second quarter grade, what would you give Green Bay? Do you grade it on a curve? Maybe based off of your expectations for this team for this season. Do you grade them on a curve a little bit? Maybe you are a harder grader. Maybe you're a tougher grader on this thing. So you're like, nah, screw curves. No, thank you. I ain't doing that. So what would and if I'll leave it a little open ended. You want to throw some grades out to individual players or coaches or units. Now remember, we're grading just Denver. Oh boy, that's going to be a little hard. So let's go from we got to go Raiders. I know I kind of 1, 2, 3. It's not the greatest math in the world because I think we did the first quarter after that Raiders one just because they had to buy. But for this, let's include the Raiders. So we'll go Raiders, Denver, Minnesota, and the Rams here for our second quarter grades here because we are into week 9. So that's just one win in there, people. Raiders, Denver, Minnesota, and the win yesterday. So just one win when we're looking at these grades. But if maybe I don't know, maybe report cards aren't the right way to go about it. Maybe it's progress reports. Remember in school when we'd have sometimes progress reports? Maybe that's the best way to go about this thing. I don't know, but I'm curious to hear from you. Start hitting me up with some texts. 715-830-1912. Again, 715-830-1912. If you don't have that saved in your cellular telephone device, save it up there. Otherwise, hit me up with a tweet at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. We'll take our first break here and then got the leadoff going. Talk a little Victory Monday here. Green Bay with the 20-3 W. Been a long time since we could say that. We'll be back after these words. Wisconsin's unofficial holiday season is nearly upon us. The 9-day deer gun hunting season. So you better get your best blaze orange gear rounded up and getting deer camp ready. But wait, what about that? What about your deer rifle? That's kind of an important thing to have ready for the upcoming season. And that's where Tilden Gun can help you out this season. Need a new rifle to head to the woods with? Visit Tilden Gun and check out their awesome lineup of new and used deer rifles. And while you're there, you can grab some ammo, case, sling, scope, targets, whatever other accessories you need to help you get ready for the upcoming 9-day deer gun hunting season. Less than 2 weeks now, officially. This is the time of year when memories are made in the great outdoors. Getting your first deer or seeing your child get their first deer, hanging out with friends and family at the cabin. And Tilden Gun wants to make sure this is another memorable season for you and your family and friends. So visit them today at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls and visit their website, tildengun.com. Best of luck and be safe this hunting season. All right, let's get things going here this morning. Coming up on the or right now on the leadoff here, little Victory Monday. G-Man, if you're listening, finally got to crack open a little Victory Scotch with the bottle there. Finally, man, was able to do that. Been a hot minute, man. So finally got a little positivity to quote Mike McCarthy, positivity in this thing. But all right, what we're also looking at grades from the last few games here too. Not necessarily the entire season, because remember we're doing it quarter by quarter of the season. So kind of looking at just the last few. Unless, you know what, I ain't gonna be a stickler in this thing. If you want to grade them for the first what are we at, 8 games of this season, yeah, for their 3-5 record, you want to grade them for the entirety of what we've seen so far, go for it. If you want to go with the typical school approach where you get your second quarter grades, you can do that too. And we're looking at the last few games over there, so you can hit me up with some grades at 715-830-1912 with a quick text over there. But when you look at this, obviously Green Bay, didn't have to deal with Matthew Stafford, didn't have to go up against Matthew Stafford. Backup quarterback Brett Rippon coming in, had a couple starts with Denver last year. Their younger quarterback over there. But the Packers defense, I give them a tip of the cap. Yeah, it was going up against Rippon compared to Stafford, but they didn't allow a backup quarterback to do damage against them. And I think if the Rams would have came in and Brett Rippon would have, had a career day, the calls for Joe Barry's job would probably be a whole lot louder this morning, whole lot louder across the states, probably across the league there at some point. But again, I know it was against the backup quarterback. They still went out and did their job and didn't allow him to go out there and light it up. And considering what we've seen from Green Bay, a lot of these for so far this season, would we have been totally surprised if the Rams would have gotten a W? I wouldn't have been totally surprised. Would you have been more upset than other times? Probably. But would you have been totally surprised? No, you shouldn't be, because then you haven't been watching what we've been seeing with this team so far this year. So Aaron Jones finally 20 carries, really committing to getting the ball in Aaron Jones's hands. 20 carries, 73 yards. It was just for a 3.7 average over there, but they stayed committed to him. He also collected 4 catches for 26 yards. Jones picking up a touchdown in the early parts, and finally in the first half of the game there, A.J. Dillon, just 9 carries, 40 yards though, 4.4 per carry. Emmanuel Wilson with that long run, that 31-yard scamper at the end of the game to kind of close things out there, to put the nail in the coffin, if you will. Packers, 38 total carries when you factor in Jordan Love's few carries over there. 38 carries for 184 yards. Jordan Love was an efficient, I would say an efficient 20 of 26 for 228 yards, 1 touchdown. He ended up with a quarterback rating of 115.5. 5. Luke Musgrave picking up his first career touchdown, 3 catches, 51 yards over there. That was a sweet play. That's, when he scored on that touchdown, I've had my frustrations. I've questioned the offensive style, the scheme, the play calling, and that's been one of my biggest frustrations so far this season because I thought we were going to see a creative, a unique offense, an offense that would help out an inexperienced younger club, and I felt like we haven't seen that. But and I don't want to say, well, we finally seen it after one play, but that was a sweet play. The pump fake left to Aaron Jones, then you pump fake it right to A.J. Dillon, and Luke Musgrave is wide open across the middle, leaks open, holds that block just long enough to leak out over the middle, gets it, runs it right through for a tud right there. I like that play. I thought that was sweet. And I'll even give credit to Jordan Love for a guy to have the patience to do that, because how many times we can envision younger quarterbacks or younger players maybe getting a little too antsy, right? Your first pump fake, okay, got to hurry up, do the other pump fake really quick, and we got to turn around, and we got to get it to the tight end. If you don't have the patience, if you don't get the timing down, that could turn into a disaster, could turn into a really ugly looking play there. But shout out to Love on that one. And a good play call from Matt LaFleur. Solid play call over there too. But again, the offense had its ups and downs, especially in the first half there. Penalties, just offsides on 4th and 1s. Packers, completing the tush push quarterback sneak plays, but Runyon Jr. twice. First time they called it on Yash, but it was actually on Runyon Jr. But Runyon Jr. getting called for lining up in the neutral zone. Might have been ticky-tacky in a lot of those points, especially when you kind of compare it throughout the season. But negative plays, penalties, holding them back. I mean, there was a couple times where it looked like, okay, Packers offense starting to get a little momentum, maybe starting to get into a rhythm. I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to a younger team and a younger offense, inexperienced team. I'm trying to use the word inexperienced because I think a lot of people are getting tired of, and I'm kind of one of those too, but I think a lot of people are kind of getting tired of the quote younger offense or younger team. So I'm trying to substitute younger for inexperienced because I think that kind of describes them a little bit better here. But this inexperienced team looks like they were finally getting some momentum on offense, moving the ball, picking up some 4th and 1s and such, but it's stupid penalties, just derailing them. And then, you open up the second half. You complete a play to Dontavian Wicks. He fumbles. Aaron Jones, he fumbles when it looked like the offense was like kind of moving the ball here a little bit. They're just like they're holding themselves back, and they're doing it to themselves in a lot of these instances throughout this entire season. And that's been a big detriment to their inability to win some of these games, some of these closer games, because they've been self-inflicted wounds, whether it has been penalties or turnovers. And then you're stuck playing that catch-up ball there. And it looked like, at least for a little bit there, it looked like that. Oh my goodness. Is this team going to do it again? Self-inflicted penalties and turnovers. Are they going to hold themselves back from picking up a win because they're doing it to themselves? They're shooting themselves in the foot. They're going to do it. And luckily, defense didn't allow it. They didn't allow a backup quarterback to, capitalize on some of the mistakes or the turnovers that the Packers had. Now, if Matthew Stafford is in there, is it different? Let's be real. Probably. It probably is. There's no doubt. I'm not going to be naive to the fact that there's a huge difference between Matthew Stafford and Brett Rippon. If Stafford's in it, probably. But you play, for all those people who say, when they played up against backup quarterback, a lot of you are the same ones that say you play who you play on your schedule. Well, Green Bay had to play who they play, and they got the job done. The defense, even with those miscues from the offense, they didn't fold. They didn't allow this Rams team to kind of get into a rhythm, kind of get into momentum. And that's where I give them credit. I'm going to give them credit for that. Carrington Valentine. He kind of reminds you a little bit of a Jair, not necessarily in play. He's got a long ways to go for that. He ain't afraid to talk though, right? I mean, how many times when he made a play or the ball was thrown to him and it was incomplete or something like that, and he's talking. I mean, there was a couple times there I'm like, oh boy, dude, got to cool it, because I thought there was good. It looked like a couple times he was directing that talk and that trash talk to the Rams or a player. So I'm like, dude, don't get a stupid penalty. Okay, don't get that stupid, unsportsmanlike taunting penalty. I thought there was a couple times he was close to that. But that's a kid that you could tell where's his emotions on his sleeve there. Shout out, he was my Lindsey Pipkins, one of my Lindsey Pipkins players to watch in the preseason. And Anthony Johnson Jr. getting his first start at safety. Again, another 7th round pick. Rookie, 7th round rookie from this previous draft, plugged in there. He was one of my favorite picks, if not my favorite pick in the entire draft. And I thought he went and had himself a good game. You didn't hear his name called a whole lot, right? Besides the pick, kind of doing his job. Again, I get it. It's Brett Rippon versus Matthew Stafford. I get it. I understand it. But you play who you got to play. Play who you got to play. And I thought those young defensive linemen really stood up, especially with Kenny Clark leaving the game due to a shoulder injury. Brooks, Wooden, wreaking havoc. I thought those two guys took a step in that game yesterday. That's what I'm looking for now. I'm looking for growth. I'm looking for steps. I don't have playoff expectations. It's not to say that I hope they don't go, and it's not to say that I'm, I don't want them to win any more games for higher draft picks. I know there's some out there. I just want to see growth. I said it at the beginning of the year before the season started. I just want to see, and I was mostly directing it towards Love, but I just want to see something from this team. I want to see some things from this team that give you some confidence, some excitement maybe for next year. I hate saying next year. Oh, there's always next year. I don't want to get into that. But for all the comparisons that everybody wants to do with Love and Rodgers, statistically, they want to compare out there. There was a point from week 1 to week 17, and I was at both those games. But there was a point, and it was finally like, week 17 after they defeated the winless Lions, and they were 6-10. Okay, 6-10. But you felt like, okay, Aaron, we might have our quarterback for the next few years with Rodgers. And that's what I want to see with Love. And I don't know if we've got a good assessment yet, but I think you can make that for the entire team, for a lot of these inexperienced players. I want to see growth, and I want to see performances from a lot of these players that's like, okay, I feel good for maybe the upcoming couple of years here. And Carl Brooks and Colby Wooden, I loved those picks in the draft, and I thought they took a step yesterday. And depending on what Kenny Clark's injury is going to be like going forward, they may get more responsibility. They may get more playing time. And you got to give a shout out, I think, for the last couple of weeks, Mr. Slayton on that defensive line. TJ Slayton has been having a really good couple weeks here. He has been a big reason why I think this run defense. And again, you can look at the running backs that they've gone up against, and you're correct and you're fair in that assessment. But at least they're not allowing these teams to run all over them, even though they haven't had the greatest success throughout this season. But Slayton has been playing incredibly well, I would say, these last couple weeks here. And he has been a big reason why I think that defensive line has done a good job of slowing down the run, stopping down the run. Slayton has been playing incredibly well. I mean, it might be a little bit of an overreaction, a Monday morning overreaction, a Monday morning hot take here. But is it fair to say like Slayton and Brooks and Colby Wooden maybe playing the best out of those defensive linemen that include Kenny Clark and Wyatt right now? I don't know. Might be a little bit of a recency thing too. But I got to tip the cap to those guys. And I think McDuffie has been playing incredibly well at filling in at times, getting a lot of snaps in at linebacker because of injuries. Seems like he's been racking up a lot of TFLs, tackles for losses. That's what I want to see right now. I want to see this growth. And I want to see this team gain that experience and gain, so they don't continue to make these stupid mental mistakes, these stupid penalties like Jaden Reed. It was Moose Johnson that said it perfectly. When Jaden Reed had that false start, he has got no reason to be influenced by the cadence from Jordan Love. You're looking down at the snap of the ball. That comes from experience. He's a rookie wide receiver. That's going to come. Little stuff like that. Might have been just one penalty, but it's stuff like that. It's those little stuff. That's going to come. And that's what I want to see continue throughout the rest of this season. Offensively, this probably is, between this game and Chicago, the best offensive performance that we've seen from this team so far this year. I would say an efficient Jordan Love performance. Really, focused on the running game and getting Aaron Jones his touches, 20 touches. Those 20 touches for just 73 yards. Nothing to, he's not going to win any ground player of the week awards with those numbers, but staying with it, sticking with it. And I think that allowed you to maybe do a couple more things within the offense. Jordan still has to, that has definitely got to be something he's got to continue to work on. And you just hope that it'll come with more experience and more reps and that sort of stuff. But the deep ball, I mean, if it's not a fair comparison, I understand that. But if it's Aaron Rodgers throwing that deep ball to Christian Watson when Christian Watson has his man beat, that's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. As long as Christian Watson catches it, that's a touchdown. You can't underthrow your receivers. You can't do that. And I know he came back and Christian Watson got the jump ball. That's where he ended up getting hurt. And it was a good play and such by Watson and that. But there's no doubt about it. And it's probably something that we're going to have to be talking about week in and week out. There's probably going to be a play or two for these next, 9 games? What are we at here? Yeah, 8. Yeah, 9 more games here. There's probably going to be more of these plays where Jordan Love misses receiver, underthrows him. I think there's at times because he was overthrowing a lot of these guys earlier, right? Now kind of underthrowing them. That's something that will, I hope, and maybe it's just me being overly optimistic, but I hope that's something that will develop with a little bit of time, with a little bit more reps, game reps too, not just practice reps. It's different in a game, right? Yeah, they can have throwing sessions in the off season. It's different in a game when you've got 4, 5, 6, 250, 300 some pound guys wanting to hurt you coming at you. I mean, it's different, but hopefully that'll just come in time. And I think now he's, you can see maybe at points with Love, it's like, okay, was overthrowing him, got to take some off of it, got to take something off of it. Now he's underthrowing it. It's finding that middle. It's finding that balance right there. But then, that drive where Musgrave had a couple good plays, you started to see Jordan a little bit of rhythm. Romeo making a couple good catches there. So overall, I think it was a very efficient, solid outing from Love in that game. All right, we gotta take a quick break here. We'll get to some of your thoughts coming up a little bit later on here. Quick break, and then we'll finish up the first hour. Give me some grades. Second quarter grades for the Packers. This Friday, we'll be broadcasting live from Hy-Vee in Eau Claire for their Veterans Day breakfast. So if you are a veteran, come on down for a free breakfast provided by our good friends over there at Hy there last year. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people showing up too. So 6 to 10. It'll be 6 to 10 this Friday. Free breakfast for those who have served and continue to serve, plus 15% off your grocery purchase too. So we will see you Friday morning. Plus, right after we get off the air, we're going to do an episode of the podcast right after that there too. So we're going to be around for a few hours Friday morning. All right, let's finish up the first hour here. A couple other things too. Jordan Love, going back to Jordan Love here. Guy, you got to give third down. This chair's squeaking, man. Jordan Love, some of his numbers that for third down yesterday: 75% completion percentage, 11.3 yards per pass attempt. In fact, something that a stats or a statistic that has really kind of showed out for Jordan Love has been, balls in the air, pass attempts, yards through the air here. Rob Domofsky tweeted out Jordan Love, 6 of 8, 75% passing on throws with 10 plus air yards. He entered the week completing a league worst 36% of his passes of 10 plus air yards per ESPN stats and info. So it was a good game. It was a very efficient, solid game for Jordan Love, in my opinion. So now, grades wise, since we are in the second quarter here, if I'm looking at the last few, we'll include the Raiders in this one just to make math easy because I really don't want to do a whole lot of tough math here early this morning. So we'll include the Raiders one in there, and I know we kind of included them in the first quarter too, but give me a break here. So otherwise we're just got 3 games here. Raiders, Denver, Minnesota, Rams. Just one win in there, and that's yesterday's game. D minus, maybe a bet, somewhere around there if I'm looking at an overall grade here. I mean, they lost the Raiders. We remember how that one went. You lost to Denver. We remember how that went. Minnesota, their comeback fell short again. I mean, it was like, hey, at least, on this Monday morning, we're not really, saying same script. Script writers, a little bit different. This book was a little bit different. But the Raiders and Denver, Minnesota, I mean, there was a lot of similarities in that game. It was like rewatching the same exact game. This one was a little bit different. A little bit different. So D minus. Maybe that's a little harsh for a lot of people. Maybe you're grading it on a curve, but I still look at it in terms of like, okay, I get it, you're inexperienced and all that sort of stuff, but the play wasn't there. The solid play wasn't there. Just wasn't. And I got to give it a D minus overall. Got to give it a D minus overall. And if they would have lost to the Rams yesterday, it's probably an F. I mean, you go over, you don't win a game. And if you would have lost to the Rams yesterday with the backup quarterback, it's probably an F. So I'm about that D minus, D range over there. Offensively is probably a worse grade. I'm actually, if defense, I might give them a C, C minus. I'll probably give them a C. I look at those games like Raiders and Denver and Minnesota and such. Did they play like they were, like a losing defense? For some people, they may say yes. And my main criticism from the defense has been that this is a unit that I feel like is playing it safe too many times. Like they're playing because they know their offense can't get into a shootout. So they're playing maybe less aggressive at times because they don't want to give up the big play. How many times have we heard defensive coordinators and defenses say, limit the big plays, don't give up the big plays? And I feel like Green Bay's defense has been doing that, has that mentality of, kind of playing it passively. And that's where I knock them down. I mean, you look at the scores and what they've allowed, it hasn't been awful. It hasn't been bad. In fact, their run defense has gotten a little bit better. And I think where I'm maybe a little bit more harsh for some, maybe not. Maybe I'm too nice according to the two others who just are just fed up with his defense. But I'm going with a C because again, it's nothing that's been fantastic. It's nothing that's been like wow, defense. They're just wreaking havoc. And I know Moose Johnson kind of said it in the telecast yesterday. This is a defense that you just want a little bit more. They haven't been bad. They haven't been awful. But you just expect a little bit more. You just want a little bit more from them. You want them to maybe create some more turnovers. You want them to be more aggressive. And that's where I've kind of have them at that C. I'd like to see a little bit more of that of aggressiveness. Offensively, yeah, I'm probably, it's D minus. And maybe that's a little high at times. And maybe they got a little bit of a boost from that from yesterday's game. D minus. I'm sitting around there. Because finally you let Aaron Jones carry the ball 20 times. Finally, Jordan Love had an efficient 20 of 26 20 of 26 for 228 yards. But I don't want one game to overshadow what we saw the weeks prior. What we saw the few weeks prior. Going forward, if we were kind of doing like a progress report now with our report cards, progress report, it's like, okay, let's see these youngsters. I already mentioned them a little bit earlier. Colby Wooden, Carl Brooks, Anthony Johnson Jr. I want to see these guys get some reps. Continue to get some reps. I want to see that. I want to see, obviously it's going to be a pick for a lot of people. The pass catchers, the receivers, the tight ends, the wide receivers continue to grow, continue to develop, continue to get better. Dontavian Wicks, I think, is turning into you look at the numbers and he's like, okay, just 14 catches, 189 yards. I mean, that's nothing to write home about. But he sure seems like when you look at some of the moments from this season, he looks to be a guy that, Jordan Love is looking to, and the Packers are given some more opportunities. 4 targets yesterday. He had 4 targets against the Vikings. Luke Musgrave is turning into a go-to target for Love. I mean, none of these receivers are gonna, probably make a Pro Bowl or light the world on fire with a lot of their numbers. Watson's got 12 catches for 213. Romeo's got 30 catches for 312 yards, 5 touchdowns. We knew that was going to be Jordan Love's go-to guy. And Jordan Love needs a go-to guy. Every quarterback needs a go-to guy. Yes, we want them to spread the ball around and that sort of stuff. But like yesterday, or when you get into tight games, or when you get out to close out situations, closing games out, you want that guy that like, okay, I trust that guy. We're on the same page. I can maybe thread it in there. I trust him. We're going to pick up first downs. We're going to close these games out. And Romeo had a couple of those catches yesterday, some of those comebacks. Romeo is that guy for Love. He's developing into that guy. He is that guy. But I want to see, maybe Dontavian Wicks continue to get more opportunities. But just the biggest thing for a progress report here, stop with the penalties. Stop with shooting yourself in the foot. Brian Balaga had, probably the perfect tweet to sum that up yesterday. By the way, it's still kind of weird to see Brian Balaga turn into like a kind of a media role here, because it just seemed like he was so kind of the quiet type during his playing time in Green Bay and that. But as he tweeted out, I'm stoked for the win. A lot of good stuff today. But this team, all in caps, needs to clean up the penalties and mental errors that are self-inflicted against better teams. That's just not going to fly, but I'll certainly take the W today. And I agree. I agree. You hope that continue. You hope that comes with just more reps. You hope that comes with more games. The little the little stuff that we never really had to pay attention to before because we were always like a veteran, especially with the Rodgers era besides last year. But a lot of those guys, they were veterans that grew into those roles. You didn't see a lot of these mental miscues. Once in a while you did. I don't want to say anybody was perfect or anything like that. But this is something we haven't seen in a very long time. And since we haven't seen this in a very long time, it's more exposed. It's in a bigger spotlight. And that's where a lot of that frustration comes from a lot of fans out there. And you just hope for progression wise for the rest of the season, you want to see that cleanup. You want to see this team get so much better at cleaning up the mental errors and the stupid penalties. Some players, there's no excuse if you're a veteran on there. There's just like Rashawn Gary lining up in a neutral. That's inexcusable. Guy's a veteran. You just got paid. No. Even John Runyon Jr. And I know that one might have been a little ticky-tack, but still. But like the Jayden Reed false start, stuff like that. I mean, special teams holding. A lot of those young guys on there. Just, come on. Got to clean it up. All right. Coming up next hour, we'll get to some of your texts and such. We've got Badger football. What team has been most frustrating for you to watch this year? Has it been the Packers or has it been the Badgers? Badgers 5-4. Is it safe to say, came in with a lot more expectations this year, maybe some more excitement? I know we asked that question at the beginning of the year. Which future are you most excited about? Which one are you more pumped about? Badger football, Packers, Luke Fickell, Jordan Love? Now, which one has been most frustrating? Maybe not necessarily most disappointing, but most frustrating for you. Let me know. Hit me up with a text. 1 hour in. We'll be back after these news updates. All right, here we go. Second hour kicking off on this Monday morning. Big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. November 6th. Coming up at the bottom of the hour here, we'll catch up with our good buddy, Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire, WEAU 13 News. Lots of stuff to catch up on the local side of things. 11-player football. We've got one more game to decide who's going to state. 8-player football, 8-man football. We got the state championship this weekend. Swimmers going to state. Volleyball state was just this past weekend. Blue gold football going to be wrapping up as well. So plenty of stuff to recap and preview with our guy Justice Cleveland coming up at the bottom of the hour here. Also, want to hit up some maybe some hoops talk and some baseball talk here. It sounds like, at least according to John Hyman from the New York Post, as he tweeted out this article yesterday and just retweeted it again. Decision appears to be within a day or two on the Craig Counsell front. Kind of mostly because it's New York Post, so it's Mets. But it seems maybe we'll know in the next, any minute or in the next couple of days here, what the decision is for Craig Counsell. Is he going to stay with the Brewers? Is he going to go with the Mets? Or maybe even throw a little bit of a surprise out there and go with the Guardians? Could that be a thing? We'll see. So we'll get to all that. Plus, we'll get to some more Packers chat and Badgers chat. I threw out the question right before the top of the hour here. Who's been more frustrating for you this year? Has it been Badger football or has it been the Packers? Who's been the most frustrating for you? Let's do some sports nuggets of the day here, brought to you by Ansay Associates. 1861, the inventor of basketball, James Naismith, was born. The first official intercollegiate football game was played in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Let's go with let's go 1969. A tie for the Cy Young Award occurred for the first time. Detroit's Denny McClain and Baltimore's Mike Culler both won the award for Best Pitcher in the American League. Mike Marshall in 1974 became the first relief pitcher to win the Cy Young Award. Let's go with No, I don't want to do Art Modell, 1995. The owner of the Browns announced plans to move his team to Baltimore. Remember that one? Boy. Mark Messier, same day, same year, 95, scored his 500th NHL goal. Those are just some of your sports nuggets of the day, brought to you by Ansay Associates. Yeah, so going to the Counsell thing here really quick, because a couple of you asked if we had any updates. You texted that in the first hour, if we had heard any updates out there. And I don't know if you were referring to the New York Post article, but according to the article here, Counsell was said Sunday night to be talking to, quote, multiple teams, including the Mets, with a decision expected as early as Monday today, but almost surely in the next day or two. The others solidly in the mix for the Mets are, okay, they go on. Mark Kotze is one of them included on there too. So, but there's where you kind of have it. Also, it says Counsell said to be, quote, serious about the Mets despite the obvious and gigantic home field advantage held by his hometown home team Brewers. And assuming that's the case, the Mets must close this deal. There's no good reason not to. Again, this is according to John Hyman on his column for the New York Post over there too. And he mentioned the Cleveland one here. Counsell could also choose to go to Cleveland, which showed its willingness to pay for a star manager when the Guardians employed Terry Francona over there too. I did see a report too. Let me see if I can bring this up here really quick. But I did see a report that Craig Counsell would allow the Brewers would allow the Brewers to match. Well, yes. So this was, let me bring it up here. This is from the Score. Craig Counsell will apparently give the Brewers every chance to retain his services. Um, he plans to give the Brewers an opportunity to match the top contract offer he receives from other interested teams, sources told Kurt Hogg and Todd Rosiak of the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. The 53-year-old is looking to reset the financial market for managers. At a minimum, he wants to double his 2023 salary of $3.5 million, according to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. He also will not give the Brewers a hometown discount. So, $7 million salary at least, if we believe these reports out there, at least $7 million per year. That would be $2 million more than what Terry Francona earned in his final year with the Guardians. $7 million a year for Craig Counsell. Would you sign up for that? Would you be like, "Yep, give him 7 million. Do it." Because I think you got to factor that in. This is what's different here a little bit too. Payrolls, because usually, salary caps in the NFL, you don't have to worry about what the coach is getting paid. Doesn't affect your salary cap. Baseball a little bit different. You got an owner that's, paying for players. And he's got to pay for managers, that sort of stuff. Because it might take a hit out of the payroll for the players. Let's be real here. Probably a little bit, right? Uh, doesn't appear that he will be interviewing with the Astros or the Angels, but which I mean, it makes sense. I think the Cleveland one's kind of like thrown in. Like, oh, okay, interesting. And maybe I know they've already said that he's not taking interviews, just take interviews and trying to drop the price. Like he's taking these because he has legit interest. But there's part of me is like, okay, did he do the Cleveland one because he knows Cleveland paid for Terry Francona, gave him a nice contract, so that's a part of the business side of things. So I don't know. Where's your confidence level right now? How you feeling, Brewers fans, about Craig Counsell returning to the Brewers? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, dude, come on, guaranteed, gonna happen. We're talking about this for no reason. Gonna happen. Or one like, yeah, he gone. He's gone. He ain't coming back. And it's gonna be interesting to see what that contract's gonna be like. Because if he does get a huge payday, if he does get a huge payday of of how do I want to phrase this? But yeah, if he does get a huge payday, it's gonna be a talking point for a lot of people. And, majority, if I would say when we asked this last week, 95% of you, or even a couple weeks ago, 95% of you wanted Craig Counsell back. I mean, all the national writers, all the people who actually cover baseball for a living say he's probably the top manager of the game, or at least the top 5 manager in the game. So 95% of Brewers fans wanted him back. There's that very small 5% who don't want him back for I don't know why, but eh, your own opinion. Your own opinion. So all right, we'll maybe get back to if anything does pop up with the whole Brewers thing here or with Craig Counsell. We'll keep you posted on anything that maybe pops up in the next couple of hours from now here. Looking at some Packers grades here. We've got let's go with first up C-Bomb here. A plus this week for Carrington Valentine, 7 targets, 0 completions. Second quarter grades, offense D, inconsistent. Line getting shuffled to injury and performance. Quarterback has been inconsistent. Wide receivers even more inconsistent. Defense C, on the field way too long, but still holding opponents down enough to be in the game. grade would be higher if Barry could utilize the talent. Coaching D minus, not putting playmakers in position to make plays. Team has no discipline. That is all. Um, that is all on coaching and not good for the youngest team in the league. Let's go with Eric saying I'm giving the team D minus. Everybody who wants Joe Barry gone, he is honestly what else do you expect for him to do for this defensive unit? He's putting his unit in a position to win games for the Packers. It's been the offense that hasn't held up its end of the bargain. All right, so we got somebody who's in favor of or giving credit to Joe Barry there. We've got Greg saying I would give them a D plus. Offensively is a little bit worse than the defense here. I do wonder how the defense would look or if the narrative would change with this defense if the offense would just play a little bit better. We got Travis, the Honorable Travis from A Town. Most disappointing to me this season are the Badgers based on the expectations with the new coaching staff. Most frustrating would be the Packers, mostly because we have just been so accustomed to seeing a certain level of efficiency on the offensive side of the ball for so long. Um, we got another one here, Dave, chiming in here. I would give the Packers a D plus right now for just the second quarter. If we factored in the entire season, maybe it's C minus at best. Surveyor Sam, what more do people want? The Rams scored 3 freaking points. That's all that matters is what's on the scoreboard. Surveyor, I think you and C-Bomb need to have a little mano y mano discussion. I wish I could have two phone calls at one time to see you two go. You know what? Better not because I don't trust C-Bomb to say something on the air that won't get us fined by the FCC or anything like that. So we've got another text coming in here. This is from Mark. Excuse me. Mark saying, shout out to the defense. All right, well, shout out to the defense here. They did a great job yesterday. I know it was against the backup quarterback, but like you said in the first hour, you play who you're supposed to play against, and they didn't allow a backup quarterback to run the scoreboard up on them. So all right, we got another one for the defense there. Okay, all right. I, I yeah. Maybe it's a bold take or a hot take here, and I know I'm probably gonna annoy a lot of people on this, but I honestly feel like if Green Bay's defense plays kinda how they've been playing, where they're only giving up 17, 13 points per game, whatever it is right now, I don't know if I kinda think Joe Barry might be back next year. I kinda feel that way. I know that's gonna annoy a lot of people and make people really upset, but I I feel like right now if the season ended today, again, I'm not saying if I agree with it or not. I'm trying to get in the head of Matt LaFleur right now. But I feel like if the season ended today, Joe Barry would be back next year. That's that's how I feel like the decision's gonna go. Again, not saying I agree with it. Not saying I agree with it, but yeah. We got Josh with the text in here. Saying, my second quarter grades, I'm actually going C minus. Yes, the first couple of games in that quarter were awful. That was mostly on the offensive side of things. Maybe because I had the expectation that this season was going to be a lot of growing pains and a lot of ups and downs. So maybe I'm grading it on a little bit of a curve, but I'm going with a C minus. All right. Keep these grades coming. Hit me up with a text 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We'll get to some more coming up here in a little bit. We're going to catch up with Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire, in about 10 to 15 minutes. So plenty of the local stuff to catch up on. He'll recap some of the games for us and look ahead to what's on the schedule coming up here. Also, wanna hit up some hoops talk with the Bucks. Kind of already in the early season with the Bucks, there's been some chit chat about, players going to Adrian Griffin already and kind of asking to change up the defensive philosophy here a little bit. I mean, you're a few games into the season and already you got that. I saw some people, I think it was before the Knicks game, the other night, but some people on social media already saying this was a bad hire. Like, I didn't like the hire at the beginning part of it. Now I really don't like it. This proving why. And we're talking about 4 games into the season already for crying out loud. So I mean, you got that going out there right now. But Bucks are going to be back in action tonight, taking on the Brooklyn Nets, the 3-2 Milwaukee Bucks here. And I know we've got comparisons galore about how Damian Lillard's playing compared to Drew Holiday. Defensive ratings, last year, what the Bucks I think I saw were fourth in defensive efficiency. They're like towards the bottom this year with, and they're comparing it to Drew Holiday and Damian Lillard and such. We knew, right? We knew this team was going to be different defensively when you ship out Drew Holiday and you bring in Damian Lillard. We knew that it was going to happen. I think the Bucks just decided, you know what? We need a little bit more offense. We need somebody who can create a little bit more, help out Giannis a little bit more on the offensive side. So, but we'll hit up a little hoop stock, coming up later on here too. So, tell you what, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll have Justice come up in just a little bit here, but, keep sending me your grades. Keep sending me your grades here, alright? Looks like the majority of you are going with about a D with your quarter grades, okay? Looks like you're going to about a D. 715-830-1912. We'll take that break, and we'll be back with JC and EC after these few words. Hunters, have you thought about where you're going to be taking in your venison when you get that deer this year? I know some of you are probably thinking, dude, I got to get one first. That includes myself. I didn't get anything this past weekend. But I got confidence you and I will get one this year. So now that we've got that covered, I'll help you decide where you should take your venison in this year. And that's Mike's Star Market, the west side of Eau Claire. If you want quality and different options to choose from and how you want your venison processed and why wouldn't you, then Mike's Star Market is your go-to place. Just visit mikesstarmarket.com to check out their venison processing info and to see all the different options you can choose from, or stop on by and chat with the awesome folks there. Best of luck on your hunting season, and for the best venison processing in town, no one beats Mike's Star Market. We've got the man, the myth, the legend in studio again this morning, Justice Cleveland.
Good morning. I'm sorry you did not get your buck.
I did not. But
still time.
I still got some time. I still got some time.
Doesn't feel like deer hunting weather out there today.
I know. When I saw the temperature on my truck this morning, say 57 degrees at like 3:30 or whatever it was this morning, I'm like, you kidding me right now?
What is it?
So
is it August?
I don't know, right? Like, what the heck? Bow season hasn't started yet. So, but golf course, I'm gonna head up the course today, maybe, possibly.
There is a chance if you're in the Mill Runner area, you might see me this morning.
Oh man,
the last time is never the last time. You say, I'm not gonna put the clubs away. And
what has been the latest you've ever gone?
It's, I want to say middle of November, like about a week from now.
Okay.
I remember I was going out, it's like at Princeton Valley or something like that. And then the next day, it went from being 60 to being 20. And that was when we had like that stretch where it went from November to February and we never got over freezing for like that month span. So hopefully we don't get that. Right. I don't want, that polar vortex to take over or something like that. But yeah, I would say a little about mid-November is about as late as I've gone now.
Yeah, I remember a while ago, I think it was like Thanksgiving, I was driving by Whispering Pines at 29 and there was people golfing.
Oh, I believe it. Because we've had some where we haven't had snow by Thanksgiving. So if you can get a little bit of warmth, they're going to be open if they had a chance. I mean, last week we went and there was still snow on, some snow in patches from where it had snowed a couple days before. But yeah, I tweeted out like this game. It's like, you think you're done, but you're not.
Yep.
Because you just want to end on that great note, which I would have if I would have said when I said was my last round. Would have been a great round to end on. And now they've been just going slowly downhill.
It's November though, so you get some leeway on that. So,
right. I mean the courses are in great shape. Yeah. I mean the fairways and everything, they let the greens. That's the one thing you got to adjust to. This isn't Justice Golf Hour here, but the greens are, greens are longer. So after a year of getting used to something and then having them totally change up on you can mess with you. But it's not like I was making those putts anyway.
Oh, well, before we get to, because I know you guys have been busy again here on the local scene of things here. So before we get to kind of that, I know we had state volleyball. We've got 8-man state this weekend, plus the final round before the state championship for 11-man football and that. Let's chat a little green and gold. After finally a victory Monday since September 25th.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Still some fans who are a little frustrated though. Justice, is this team a mess? Like Rick says on our texting line, is this Packers team a complete mess?
I don't think you like to see the penalties. I think that's the big thing. And obviously some of those offensive offside penalties were questionable judgment calls there. That do you really need to be calling it in that situation? But point of emphasis. Because God forbid we have anything that helps the running game in this league. That
it's got to be, I think, conspiracy theory here for the NFL to like limit the tush push.
Yes, which it's so funny because like you hear the fans yesterday at the Dallas Eagles when they would do it, we're cheering.
Yeah,
it's the most old timey football play you can get.
Yep,
like guys just in a rugby scrum, basically, like when football just started. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Cares if it gets, find a way to stop it.
Right.
That's what it is. Like, I know it's not the prettiest aesthetic for the NFL and in a league that has built up passing to be the main part of the game at this point.
Right.
I can see where they don't want it, but why? It's not illegal. They'll find a way though. They will. And like you said, I think with that offside, like we saw the Packers get called on it twice there.
Yeah.
That, I don't know. They both were questionable. I know you can interpret it, but if you're going to let, the whole 2-3 beats after the, for a delay of game. you can probably let a guy's
Right.
helmet be 3 inches in the neutral zone for
Right.
something like that. So
Yeah, we need some lasers going down that line of scrimmage that would tell you if you're offsides or
well,
not.
apparently they can do it. They just
Exactly.
they love the sticks. I do like the fact that they've added an arrow on the
Right?
first down. Like, how is that not something that hadn't happened already? Like,
I
oh,
know.
here's where the first down exactly is. We can
Right.
figure this out.
Exactly.
So, the pylon cams being everywhere now, though, does.
Mhm.
At least they have that. I would just love to see the eye in the sky do more.
Mhm.
I know we've seen it a few times where they've quickly reversed something,
Yes.
but you don't see it often. But I think, why would you not have somebody up there if they see something egregious, just be like, not that the offsides were egregious, but
Mhm.
be like,
Well, I
yeah,
feel like the station didn't do the NFL on Fox. Could you find a better angle instead of
yeah.
like the diagonal angle, just like the straight down one?
It's weird
You know?
that all those angles on a short play like that were tilted.
Yeah.
Like, you should have something going straight down, especially on something like a first down like that. You want to be able to
Mhm.
measure where that first down is,
Right.
but who knows?
Because they said it was like behind the ball. You couldn't even see the ball in those angles,
Right,
so you
yeah.
couldn't
So
tell.
that would, it's gonna make your perspective skewed there anyway by the way
Right.
the angle was. So
Exactly. So, not a complete mess, not a mess.
no, I
Yeah.
think that obviously it's a win, and a win's a win. In the
Mhm.
NFL, you take it if there's backup quarterback in there or not.
Mhm.
Is it a quality opponent?
Right.
we can argue that point. But yeah, you got the win, and you're sitting somewhat not in a horrible position at 3-5 in the
Mhm.
NFL this year.
I would also say too, I don't think Green Bay's deserved the title of like just getting, being favored or,
No,
you know, they should have won that game. Sort of, they haven't.
not anymore.
Not anymore. In my
Give me a
opinion.
game. I mean, after Vegas, after Denver,
Yeah.
you can't really go to those games and be like, oh, this team deserves to be favored at home against
Right.
a Rams squad that hasn't done anything. Well, guess what? The Packers hadn't done anything in those many weeks. So,
Mhm.
yeah, to get that win, I think the offense still has a lot to clean up. I liked the philosophy of run first.
Yep.
Take the load off, Jordan Love's shoulders. Obviously, I think the penalties still end up
Mhm.
hurting him because then you have those obvious passing downs. But
Because I mean, even the 4th and 1s. I mean, it looked like there was some rhythm going. They picked up those first downs.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't really get into a flow. And when he was in a flow, like that drive where he hit Musgrave a couple times, that's what you want to see.
yeah,
Obviously that's what you want to see. And it just they keep shooting themselves in the foot and self-inflicted wounds,
Yeah.
to take this offense out of rhythm.
and you can do that against a Rams team that's not moving the ball.
Right.
The defense, I mean, hats off to the defense. I know a lot of people are going to write it off as being, oh, you're playing against a backup quarterback, but
Mhm.
the energy you saw from that defense was something I don't feel like we've seen this year. They were
Mhm.
playing with fire, and I think they got the crowd going. I mean,
Mhm.
it was a weird to see Lambeau as loud as that because of how much they've struggled this year at home. So,
Right.
yeah, I think the hats off to the defense for really, setting the tone in that game and
Mhm.
and getting to the quarterback. They probably would have liked a few more sacks, a few more turnovers and stuff like that, but Rippon was never comfortable back there, and
No.
and you could tell that.
And it's those younger guys stepping up too.
Yep.
It was the Colby Woodens, it's the Carl Brooks, it's McDuffie making some TFLs, Carrington and Anthony Johnson in
Yeah.
the back end there.
And
It-
I think you see a little bit of what Rasul Douglas had said before he left is like, this defense needs to almost play perfect at times.
Mhm.
And that's almost what they did.
Yeah.
They did, and they really kept that offense and gave the offense a chance, and the offense responded. Complementary football, the word's been thrown out a lot. And even special teams we saw with Keyshawn Nixon with some bigger returns as well. So it was more of a complete game than we've seen. Still not there.
Right.
You got to go and beat Pittsburgh on the road. That's one that you want to really hang your hat on.
Right.
So we'll see what they can do with that. But
Mhm.
to the game, Aaron Donald still looks like the best player out on the field.
Yeah, for a down year, and you don't, or I say Rams for a down year, he kind of gets, I think, forgotten
Right.
a little bit. And
Now you see
that
why he's
guy.
going to be a Hall of Famer.
Right.
Like
Yep.
the way he was out there disrupting almost every play. He is still one of the best in the league.
Mhm.
And to all his credit, like he could be sleeping on this year knowing that they're probably not going to do anything. But
Mhm.
he's out there doing what Aaron Donald does.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of going back to, the offensive side and such. Musgrave, there was one play, and I know it's just one play, but I thought it was like really sweet play, and I got to give Love credit and LaFleur for calling it. It was that pump fake,
Right.
throw to the middle for Musgrave, because I can just imagine younger quarterbacks getting so antsy, knowing the play. It's like, okay, I got to hurry up and do this. I got to hurry up and do that pump fake. Then I got to turn around and do that.
You're blind.
You're
blind for two-thirds of that play. You don't know what could be coming from one end or the other end.
Right.
Yeah, that was great. That's what we've kind of wanted to see.
Exactly.
More things like that. And they've been using that double screen kind of pump fake screen to another side a lot. So, I mean, that's a play that they've set up on film.
Yep.
And the defense bid on it. And credit to Love, too, with like Musgrave. He went to his checkdowns a lot more, I feel like, in this game than he had, not trying to take the big shot or force the big shot.
Right.
That's what you got to do. Maybe he watched Kirk Cousins. Maybe he says, like, oh, you know what? Getting to these checkdowns can make a big difference in these games, even if it's 4 or 5 yards. Especially when you've had time struggles even getting first downs. Getting to those checkdowns is big, and I think he was able to make some of those passes more this last week.
And I know, still kind of missed Christian Watson on that deep throw.
Right.
To the left there. Earlier in the year, it looked like he was overthrowing guys. Now it's like he's underthrowing guys a little bit. Maybe the weather with the rain had a little bit of effect on that. It could have been there, but that's something I feel like will come in time.
Yeah.
With the reps. I mean, it's easy. You can go in the offseason, go in your backyard and run routes and throw. Tad different, in a game when you've got, dudes trying to kill you and other factors into it. I feel like that eventually will, that connection, that timing will get there at some point.
And I think that goes to what we've been talking about, is just that game slowing down for him. And there's at times you looked at it yesterday and it looked like he was a little more, he wasn't as happy feet in the pocket. Still has to get that eternal clock at times and get rid of that ball.
Right.
Taking some of those sacks that, especially at the end of the half where you're in position and then you take the sack, have to basically regain all that position, and then you end up missing the field goal. I could have, in a different game, that comes up huge. So, yeah, I think we're seeing it. And again, we knew this is going to be a work in progress. I know everybody again thinks that Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers came out there and they were walking on water. Like it didn't happen that way. It took time for these guys to develop. You got to be patient. I don't think there's still probably, I'm sure, even after this game, that people are ready to write off Love. I think you give him this season to see what you got.
Right.
And if it's horrible at the end of the season, I don't think it's going to be horrible. When he has the time, the protection, and there's an offensive game plan that's actually working, like this last week with the running game with balance, he makes the throws. The ability to make the throws are there. So I'm not seeing anything egregious where it's like, oh, let's get him out of here.
Right.
It's not at that point.
Yeah. I mean, even with the offensive side of things too, when they open up the second half, I can't be the only one who thought, oh God, here we go again. The 2 fumbles.
Yeah.
Where the offense was like, and then even the penalties in the first half. I know you're one that always like, they keeping them around, hanging around, their sort of thing. I'm like, oh God, they're going to do it again, aren't they?
Yeah.
Where, you're putting your defense in there. And that's where I give credit. I don't care. Yes. Is it different if Matthew Stafford's a quarterback? Probably.
Right.
Let's be real. It probably is. But they went out there, did their job, and they didn't allow a backup quarterback to get into that rhythm to go move the field. Whereas how many times have we seen it before this year where that team, Packers offense makes a mistake, turns the ball over, penalties. They go out there and they take the lead. They were put in some tough spots, especially in that second half, to open up, and the defense responded. And that's where I give them a lot of credit.
Right. I mean, we saw last year backup quarterbacks have really good success against the Packers at times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they never really allowed them to get comfortable. They had a few. They got some first downs, some tough first downs. But, when you have Cooper Kupp out there, you're worrying about like a big play for a touchdown and something. They just kind of it's the most Packer overused term, but bend don't break. But that defense did that and then made the big plays when they needed to in key positions to keep the Rams back of them the whole time.
Yeah. So I just want to see growth at this point in time.
Right.
Like I don't have playoff expectations. I hate to say it,
I'm in the same boat.
I don't want to be like season's done with. I just want to see growth at this point. And I want to see continuing to get better. And the big thing is the penalties, is those self-inflicted stuff out there. I feel like that will get better time. Rashawn Gary lining up offsides is inexcusable. He's a veteran. He should know better.
Right.
That stuff. But it's like the Jaden Reed false start when he's paying attention to the hard count instead of
that's
looking
the
at
stuff that really gets
it's that stuff that's like I feel like we'll get better at in time. That stuff from I'm trying to avoid the younger term because I know nobody likes to hear younger, so I'm trying to say inexperienced
Yeah.
players at. I feel like that'll get better with time.
And it's great to see Aaron Jones going over there and talking to these because he
Yeah.
is the veteran presence on that offense right
Yeah.
now.
He
really
was right
is.
up to Dontavian Wicks after that fumble
Yep.
right away.
Everybody will. And that's
Mhm.
that's a great sign
Mhm.
for a locker room, is that when you see guys going over and still they're communicating, it's falling apart. That guy's
Mhm.
sitting on the bench by himself. No one's talking to him. People are, mad, frustrated, and just like, oh, this again. No, these guys are trying to build this team together. And I think that's what you like to see. And you're seeing the frustration from Matt LaFleur.
Yeah.
Again, this isn't something that like a penalty happens and he just accepts it.
Right.
He is as mad as anybody when you see a penalty called.
Yeah.
So
That
I think
finely trimmed beard's going to be a little bit more gray, maybe like a Justice Cleveland gray at this point.
it's like having kids. That's what it is. That whole team of kids that he has there. There'll be some gray, but yeah, it's a team that I would love to see finish around 500.
Mhm.
Granted, we can't finish at 500 anywhere unless you get a tie.
Right.
But I think that's what you're looking for, is like, this is a springboard you hope to success in the future.
Mhm.
If you can show that there's the potential there, then you go get those parts that you need to fill in, and you can be successful. I still wish they would have had more of another veteran. They would have added somebody
Mhm.
in a skill position.
Right.
It just seems like it would have been a better, but they saw that, the youth that they have, and they see the potential with them. So
Mhm. So last time you were at Minnesota game. You were there. Now a week later, Rasul Douglas traded. What was your first thought when you heard that at the trade deadline that they made a trade, but it was Rasul Douglas that they traded?
I mean, in my opinion, it was that his emotions were something that they were worried about.
Mm-hmm.
That he had been critical in a way of the offense, not overly critical, and he wasn't being, I think, rude to the offense. He was just saying that the defense has to play basically perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same thing after the Minnesota game. He held court for 7-8 minutes, just talking about what was frustrating him. And I think if you're the Packers, you were worried that would turn more and more negative.
Mm-hmm.
That it would be something that could end up causing a rift in that locker room if things got worse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they got better this week. They could get worse next week against Pittsburgh. But
right.
I think people respect him, and I get it. I mean, I respect him for him coming out and saying what he did, because I think that he was speaking for a lot of people in that locker room. I think the deal was there, and I think he was frustrated, and I don't think he maybe was okay with going to a contender. Because he's an emotional guy. We've known that from his first moments for the Packers when he found that success right away, getting those interceptions. And
yeah,
I mean, he was a fiery guy, but that fire works two ways. And you really do. You worry about losing somebody that in the locker room that can trickle down,
right,
and end up causing a rift. So I could. That was my thought right away. It was like, okay, they're worried that this could become more, and they got a good deal. And now, granted, a 3rd round pick could have got you.
Right.
Chase so, yeah, but I think that to me, that's what I thought right away. Now, do I know this for sure? No, but that's just from being there and just the way people were. Like, I mean, he is a leader on that team. Was a leader on that team. But I think the deal was there to be like, okay, thank you, Rasul, for all you did. Here's your chance. Now you're on a contender, and now you're on a winning side. And I don't think that emotion will be as much to where it was struggling to lose those close games for the Packers.
Quite the career he's had, a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Getting picked up, like, who is this guy, to, playing really well, earning a good payday. And now, that's quite the story for Rasul Douglas in the last just 3 years.
And you wonder if Jair hadn't come back. Like, if Jair's still injured, is that a trade you make?
Right.
Because you need at least somebody out there that's a veteran presence,
right,
to really help and work in that defensive backfield. But I think once Jair kind of came back and they're like, okay, we have him back, let's give some of these younger guys an opportunity. And you got another draft pick, and they're going to have some good draft picks coming up here, some draft stock. So yeah,
and a lot of cap space,
right? So there again, this is where, like, this season, show the growth, off season, draft, free agency. See what you can do to make that next step. The next
right. I know in the last couple of weeks there's been a lot of fans kind of saying, LaFleur's losing a locker room, losing the team, and all that sort of. Do you get that sense at all? I mean, I know you've been in there and such. But I'm an outsider. I don't get that sense.
No, I don't either. I don't see where. Have you had anybody on the offensive side come out and blast their teammates?
Mm-hmm.
No, those guys are solidified and they know what they need to do. And I think that team knows their expectations. I mean, their expectations are to win, but they also know the realistic build of their roster.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of the people, especially the offensive side, knew that there's going to be these struggles, but they know that they can get to this next level at some point.
Right.
If that doesn't happen, then you start worrying. But we see the glimpses. You've dealt with a ton of injury. I think somebody pointed out that the David Bakhtiari injury may have thrown everything into limbo.
Yeah.
In that locker room because they were expecting to have him back.
Right.
And not having an all-pro on your line.
Mm-hmm.
Then you lose Elton Jenkins to an injury for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And then Walker not playing, I think, to the level they expected.
Yeah.
Now it turns left tackle into a major need, I would say.
And I think, honestly, some of those offensive linemen have been underachieving at times. Mm-hmm. Even Josh Meyer at times, you're like, the penalties, the holding penalties and stuff like that is not what you want to see. And they're always, they've been there's been a lot of bad timing with a lot of these plays. So I don't think he's losing that locker room.
Yeah.
I don't either. I think everybody seems to have Jordan Love's back.
Yep.
You don't have guys going, we need an experience. No one's coming out and blasting. So I don't know where that narrative comes from. Rasul would be the one for him being critical of the offense and saying that the defense. But that wasn't even so much. That was him calling out the defense saying we have to play even better than we are. Mm-hmm. That was him trying to fire up his defense. So if that's what you think is losing the locker room, I think look at the Raiders.
Yeah.
Look at some of the dysfunction that can happen in some of these teams.
You don't have one of those guys, and I know Devontae's not a young guy, but you had Devontae literally going out there saying how many times, I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I need to, this sort of stuff. And that's when you've lost the locker room.
And then, the SI report that came out yesterday with Josh McDaniel, like a team meeting that completely, like they said he was shell-shocked, like the stuff that was being said about. We haven't had anything like that. Even I would go and say, like, I was there the Mike Sherman year, which was probably their worst year in a long time, the 4-12 year. Mm-hmm. And I never saw that locker room fall apart. So if that team didn't fall apart, I don't think this team is going to fall apart. Mm-hmm. I don't see anybody in that locker room that's just going to become somebody who's going to just derail everything and just, I don't, Jair would probably be your most outspoken guy. Mm-hmm. And he's said some stuff, but on the offensive side, there really isn't a guy that I feel like is going to come out and just start.
Aaron Jones is not that guy.
No,
anybody who's had interactions with him, you've probably had more. Yeah. I've had a couple times I've interviewed him, and that's not his style.
No,
he's not going to do that.
There isn't. I really don't see anybody. I would say go ego-wise on that offensive side that would have anything like that to say. So I think they're fine. I think again.
And I don't even know if would you say that they're playing below average, right? I mean,
the offense was, but
does it go based off your expectations then, I guess, at the beginning of the year?
I think a lot of people thought, I mean, the first half struggles, I think, was the big narrative there, falling behind. 3-5, kind of where, again, I thought they'd be around 500. Mm-hmm. And they are right there around 500. Could easily be at 500. Mm-hmm. They usually have a worse record than they have right now.
Right.
But they've been in every game except what? The Lions game? Would that be the game that?
Yeah. They got, right away it was, kind of out of the water. So
they've been there. They've had chances. Maybe they start learning to close a little bit better here. Mm-hmm. See, Pittsburgh, again, that's a good challenge going on the road against a Pittsburgh squad that it's been up and down the whole year, but they are a talented group look at that defense. Mm-hmm. You got a Watt brother that's going to be running after Jordan Love.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that next game.
Exactly. All right, we got to take a quick break here. Then we'll finish up the second hour with the flannel wearing, vest wearing, alligator shoe wearing, whatever. Justice Cleveland coming up next.
Oh, boy.
All right, we only got about a minute left to the top of the hour here, so not enough time to get into a deep topic here, but we'll hit up some local stuff. Coming up after the news updates, will we hear the Craig Council news today? That's according to the New York Post. Could be today, or at least in the next day or two.
Depends on how that Kotze interview went, too.
Yeah, Mark Kotze. Maybe Craig Council's very upset that the Brewers traded Mark Canha to the Tigers. You know, he's gone now too, so can you just hold off on your moves, Brewers, until you know,
right, until you know who your manager is going to be.
Right, exactly. Don't make him upset or anything like that. So a little nervous. Are you nervous?
I don't know. If he goes, he goes. He did a lot of good things. If they're not going to pay him, he's going to get paid. That's going to be. That's the reason. That's not a good look, though. On the Brewers.
Yeah. All right. Quick news update. We'll be back in just 2 to 3 minutes. Third and final hour on this Monday morning. We got about 25 minutes left with JC in the EC, Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire, WEAU 13 News, as the prep season, fall prep season, starting to kind of wrap up here. We had state championships for volleyball. Shout out St. Croix Falls getting a championship over there.
Yep.
So
Rice Lake making the appearance there for the first time in 15 years, so good for them too.
Yeah, so that's in the books. We've got swimming going to state. Some local swimmers I know North Memorial is going to be well represented going down to state too.
Right, that's in Waukesha this weekend. So, and after that, and with the 8-player championship game, and then
Thorpe, Brandenburgs, the Fighting Brandenburgs going over there.
Right, Brandon, like I said, leading that tailgate.
What a heck! I mean, Thorpe beating Gilman,
right,
and then beating McDonald Central. I mean, that's a gauntlet to go through to get to state. They earned that trip.
Oh, they did, and it was great to see that on that game on Friday to have two teams that switched to 8-player have had history in 11-man.
Yep.
And even Gilman before that obviously was a really good 11-man team that had went to state too, and embrace it. Thorpe wasn't playoff eligible for the last couple of years, had some good teams. That senior year, for a lot of those seniors this year, making the push to get there, and a great game against McDonald. And hats off to McDonald for a fine season as well. But Thorpe, first time since 94 at a state football championship, 93. So it's been 30 years since they won a state title. Looking to add something to the sign there as you drive past town on 29. So, good luck.
I love those towns when they have that stuff up there. That's so cool.
And 29 is really good for that. With the
Stanley Boys got one.
Yep. Yeah, you just come down the line, Owen Withy. Yeah, so they got to take on Florence. I mean, Florence making the big trip from nearly the UP to come on down to Wisconsin Rapids on Saturday. So, good luck to Thorpe. I'd love to see them take home the title there. And again, it shows where the 8-player game is moving to. There's a lot more teams that familiar names moving to it, and I'm hoping at some point they get a chance to play at Camp Randall. Yeah, I don't know if that takes at some point do we go from 7 divisions to 6 in 11-man? I don't know. That's not my decision. Or do we just kind of do a balance 4 games one day, 4 games the next day? But it's possible. I mean, you can play.
So I think it almost kind of like, I don't want to say it, but it almost diminishes the state champ. No offense to Rapids or anything like that, but it's Camp Randall, and that's what we think of when you think of high school state football.
So let's get them. Hopefully that changes here in a little bit. I know the schedule is probably the biggest thing. It's the fact that they're a week ahead right now, but I feel like that's something that you could change. And I think 2 weeks wouldn't be the worst if you had. It's like the Super Bowl. They'd get 2 weeks to prepare for their championship game. But I hope at some point they can get to Madison as well. But nothing taken away from what is going to be a fun title game. And good luck to Thorpe. That's Wisconsin Rapids at 1 p.m. if anybody wants to head over there and watch that.
The 11-man football, we'll find out who's going to state after games Friday night. Maybe more locally here, Rice Lake. They're going to be going up against Green Bay, Notre Dame.
Yes, I feel like that's a matchup they've had a few times with a battle for a chance to go to state. So 2 teams well established in Division III. Rice Lake just having a phenomenal season, and Notre Dame always good from somebody who went to Green Bay Southwest, and Notre Dame used to beat our team all the time. So
they ended Medford's 1 game away from state in 2004. It was Notre Dame that ended Medford there too. So, Medford, we know about them too.
Yeah, so. Notre Dame, their reputation is known statewide, as is Rice Lakes. I would have to say at this point for the times that they've made runs to state here, and it's another chance here for them to go.
Baldwin Woodville in Division 4 still alive too.
Yeah, I think they're the 4 seed. Defeated Somerset in a middle border battle there, and now they'll take on Lodi. That'll be at Arcadia. So good run for a middle border there. I mean, Baldwin Woodville having a chance there. A team that played in the same conference, as Rice Lake. So we'll see what they can do against Lodi. And you know what? I think it's almost better. They get the closer game. Arcadia compared to Lodi, making that drive. So good luck to them.
St. Croix Falls, we just mentioned them with volleyball. They're still alive for football too. Going up against, is it Wrightstown?
Wrightstown, Wrightstown, another team that in those Division 5 had success for as long as I can remember, and one of those teams that's that whole Fox Valley area with the amount of teams that are still left.
Yeah,
You go Wrightstown.
Kimberly's over there in Division I, and
you don't know how, like, unless you've been around there. Wrightstown's not that far from Kimberly and Kaukauna. Like the amount of talented football that's in that area is pretty insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I don't know what to expect from that game, but it's gonna be a tough game for St. Croix Falls.
It is, I mean, you live there, so you got kind of an inside thing, but you're right. Fox Valley, that's when these football teams come out, because when it's basketball, maybe it's like Milwaukee or Madison,
right?
Football, maybe it's just a general because that's where the Packers are, sort of thing. I don't know.
Unfortunately, it doesn't explain the lack of success from the Green Bay area schools, like the actual Green Bay schools. But no, I mean, and like Kimberly and Kaukauna are literally right next to each other. So I mean, just think about like what must be going on in those youth games, those flag football games, and just the development there to these two powerhouse programs. And Nina was there, I believe, in this last level as well, and that's right down the road. So yeah, there's a lot of great teams in that area.
I know that's kind of a little bit out of our way here, but divisions. Well, first of all, I'll get to this one. Division 6, Grantsburg is Stratford. That's going to be at Chi-I.
Yeah, and Grantsburg, that's traditionally where they end up playing their level 4 games, has been at Chippewa Falls. They're undefeated, and that's a team too. We keep talking about these traditional powerhouses back since the Chanels were there for Grantsburg. They just continue that tradition, and they took on a tough Cameron team and took care of them there in level 3, and now another traditional powerhouse in Stratford. Yeah. So we're talking about the Fox Valley area. Then you got like the Edgar and Stratford. Yep. That area there has also just been some great teams coming from there.
You mentioned Edgar, and this was the one I was going to kind of bring up here. I don't know. It just kind of jumps out to me. Edgar versus Bangor.
Yep.
Edgar allowed their first points since week 1, I think, this past weekend.
Against Boyceville. Yeah. Boyceville put up a run there for a little bit. That Carson Butt, the running back for Edgar, I think he was involved in 7 touchdowns. Man. For Edgar. So you talk about the defense of Edgar. Yeah. The offense is there as well. So, I mean, Bangor is another team that's had a lot of success, especially the last 10 years, going to state, I think they've been to level 4, something like 5 out of the last 7 years or something like that, going to state twice. So Bangor's a good team, took on a tough Castron team, got a tough win, but it's going to be tough against Edgar. I mean, Edgar is just a machine. That game's in Durand, so if anybody wants to check out that game, that'll be in Durand on Friday night as well.
Yeah. So we got that covered there with that stuff. So we got, as we mentioned, swimming and diving coming up here too. When does practice start for winter sports? Do you know?
Today. A lot of them are starting today.
Look at that.
I know hockey and girls basketball.
Okay. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, because girls is a week before the boys season. So yeah. So we're there. We're at the start of the winter season. The intersection is having. You see it in college a lot right now for us, with the basketball starting up, with football still going on, and soccer and all those fall sports still continuing. Speaking of, I know the men's soccer team for the Blue Golds will find out at like 11 o'clock.
Oh, selection
show. Yep. So we'll see what happens with them. Another Casey Holman, that team.
Ever since they started, I was going to say,
since day one, they have been just one of the best in the area, in the region, and in the nation, really, if you look at their record the last few years. So hopefully they get the selection they deserve, get selection shows. But I think, just another fine season for them.
Right. Blue Gold football, they got one more game left, and it's going to be a tough one against Whitewater, but they did fall to Stouts.
Yeah.
On the War on 94, Battle on I-94 over there too. But, I know you've watched both these teams. You've seen Stout. We know they've got that offense over there with Stouts, and Stout's been in some really close games too. Yes. Against some really good opponents.
Stout's been right there in pretty much every game they've played, and just unfortunately weren't able to get some of the victories there. But they've had Clay Birmingham's team just guts, and keep battling, and they finished it up against Platteville on the road, and I'm sure they'd love to go there and finish off with another victory there. And for the Blue Golds too, I love what I'm seeing from Rob Erickson after these games, and how much he's embracing everything. It's not been an easy season, I'm sure, by any means, and he'd love to have more wins. But he embraces the positives that are happening.
Right.
You don't see him down. I'm sure inside it's eating him up, but he's talked about just the atmosphere. How excited he is to be in more of the the I-94 rivalry games.
Yep.
I mean, I think you hear that and that makes you excited. That means this guy's in for the long term. He knows that they're building something here. So, yeah, I mean, the victories haven't been there like I'm sure he wants, but you're making those steps, and everything I think with that program is just on the rise.
Right. I agree. So, and I know they've gotten hockey underway already. So
yes,
that's
hockey,
already
the
going,
women's team, the men's team having success already.
Yep.
So we're at that point. And
exactly.
Speaking of hockey success, the Wisconsin Badgers just continue to.
Third week in a row, they defeated an opponent that's ranked higher than them.
They just keep moving up. They were 9th, I think, this last.
Yeah.
They're going to up again.
I mean, I know we talk about expectations for a lot of these teams for Badgers and all that, or for the Packers and heck, even Badger football. And it seemed like, I know I was talking to some people from Madison, like, what's your expectation for
you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and not really high.
There's talent.
I think it's changed now.
Yeah,
probably.
we knew there was talent on the team.
Yeah.
It just was never gelling last year for whatever reason. But
yeah,
so
Mike
far
Hastings
this year
has gotten off to a fantastic start,
and he's creating a buzz. There's a little buzz again with these hockey games, and you're seeing the Kohl Center fill up again more.
Yep.
And it's not quite to where it was maybe during some of their bigger runs, but it's going to get there, especially if they keep winning, and that buzz just keeps growing. So hats off to what they've done so far to start the season.
Looks like but pair-wise, I'm trying to see what the pair-wise rankings when they were last updated. It has Wisconsin at 6, which is the only teams higher than it was Boston College, Denver, Cornell, Maine, and Providence. So
they're best in our area right now. That's saying a lot. I mean, again, hockey's a long season. There's a lot to be played, but you couldn't imagine a better start.
Right.
To get buzz for your program. And that's going to help recruiting-wise as we get into the high school season, too. It's like, okay, this Wisconsin team, this is a place where I want to go play.
Yeah.
So I think it's just been a great start. And it's fun that we're talking hockey now because we're really going to get into the season here as November moves on and the high school and prep will start up here soon. Steel already into action as well. So there'll be a lot of hockey action here.
Looks like, I mean, right now, best teams in the States, if we talk about, D1 and pros, Badger men's hockey, Badger women's hockey, Badger volleyball.
Yeah.
Probably the best ones right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
National, at least championship contender.
Badger volleyball team just, they suffered the loss to, was it Nebraska?
Yep.
But have bounced back and playing well. And no one's going to want to face them anywhere. And hats off too. I know the Blue Gold started off their WIC tournament, and I believe they play Stevens Point tomorrow.
Okay.
A team that was ranked 20th came here on Friday. And the Blue Golds pulled off a 5-set win. Big win for them. A young team, still got some of the veteran presence, but most of their team that won the title a couple of years ago, that's almost all gone. So you're retooling, but they're not very far away from being back towards the top of the conference. They have a lot of young talent. They also have been in a lot of matches where they just weren't able to kind of turn the corner and get that 5th set. But to get that win over Point, what a way to propel yourself into the conference tournament.
Right, exactly. All right. Before I let you go here, so we kind of teased it a little bit there. Craig Counsell, we'll find out hopefully today, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. Who the heck knows at this point?
Right.
It's just rumors and speculation out there. But there's still some say good riddance, bye, go, leave. They don't want Counsell. They don't want him there because of his playoff failures or lack of success in the postseason and that sort of. Name me another manager for the Brewers who has actually been in the postseason that much. I'll wait, for the Brewers.
Yeah, exactly. There hasn't.
Yeah. I want Counsell back, so I don't know why we've got some saying no. Let him fire. Let him go. Whatever.
There are so many people that would rather just always get rid of the coach. You were talking about Adrian Griffin, the buyer's remorse now of Adrian Griffin with the Bucks after 5 games because players went and talked to him and asked him to adjust his defense. Good.
Right.
The fact that he was open to that communication and it led to a win. And Lopez was down low and blocking shots.
You mentioned the Raiders. there's another example where players were too afraid, apparently, or McDaniels wasn't open to that.
It's NBA 5 games in is such a small sample size, and we've seen it years before when Budenholzer was there. That getting your rotation takes a while.
Yeah,
especially when you add a piece late.
This isn't the NHL where you could fire a coach after 11 games.
Right, exactly. So I don't know. I mean, I for one would have been fine if Budenholzer was Bucks coach was for like a Popovich, but that it depends on where you go. The loyalty isn't there for very long for coaches. So Budenholzer's gone. You've got Adrian Griffin. This is what you're going to get. He's got a different philosophy than Coach Bud had. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think there's plenty of season left with things to. Middleton's going to play more minutes.
Yep.
You're not really seeing the Dame and Middleton on the court that much.
Right.
Giannis is Giannis, and Giannis is still not probably even 100%, and still, hits 3 3-pointers, puts up 22 points for the Knicks. So there's so much more to be played here. If there are 10 games under 500 at some point, then you look at it.
Right.
You're worried, but I don't think that team's talented.
And that's where I kind of thought, okay, maybe like a 2-seater, way looking ahead. But it's like I thought, beginning of the year, probably going to be a lot of adjustment, ups and downs, inconsistency.
They're 1-0 in pool play.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about getting to Vegas and getting the money in the championship, guys. Come on. See the Clippers court too, by the way. A lot of these courts, they were redone. I was watching Warriors and Thunder replay. I'm like, what the heck is that court?
Right, because you'd see like these screenshots on Twitter, and you would be like, what is going on?
Right.
Yeah, they're still all in Oregon's court. The trees that you can't even watch the game because it's so befuddling when you're staring at it.
Back to council. John Hyman, New York Post saying it should be in a day or two. Mets are a real thing. It sounds like council, one report, the two that go back to the Brewers with the highest offer that he got for the chance for the Brewers match, which tells me almost that if you're willing to go to a team, going back to a team with an offer and giving them a chance to match it, that to me almost tells me he wants to be with the Brewers. That's his number one choice.
I think that it's home. It's the matter of, am I going to get paid more to go to New York, which I will then make an adjustment because they're paying me more money, or will I take the same money and stay home at home in Wisconsin, the team that I've been with for so long? So I think the ball's more in the Brewers' court.
I'd agree with that now.
And then it's will the Brewers match? I hope they do, but
the tricky thing too is it's not like like the NFL where coaches' salaries don't affect salary cap. Right. That's not a part of it. It's a little different in baseball now because it's just owners shelling out money here or there.
Right.
If he does get one report said he wants to at least double what he made last year, which last year was 3.5. He's looking at 7. That's the minimum.
Which the Mets are probably
easily would probably write that. Yeah. So say it's $7 or $8 million here. Does that affect, in turn, how much Anasio is willing to spend on roster construction?
How much did they spend last season?
Right. That's the other flip side.
Like who did they bring in that was a high price free agent? Nobody.
Right.
Half those guys they brought in were gone. Other than Jesse Winker by the end of the season. Like they had already gotten rid of. So it shouldn't make a difference. Again, this is owner talk where $3 million doesn't seem like a lot for a normal person like us. Yes, that's a ton of money. But for an owner, if you really want to be successful and have a guy who's been the face of your franchise for this long, and I think it's beloved. I know, like you said, there are people that are like, you can't manage that. That's any sport in Wisconsin. Find me a coach that doesn't have grumblings that they should be gone in this state.
Right.
See? I mean, Fickle's probably already got his, why did we do this?
Right.
So, So
Lombardi.
Yes. And I'm sure going back in the 60s, there were people that somehow had.
Can we get Twitter back in the 60s just to see
to see if people were putting Lombardi on blast.
Right.
So it's So like I said, I think there's always going to be the doubters, but I think this day and age to have a guy who sticks around that has loyalty to the state and the team, grew up watching it, I think it would be great. But
and understands, I guess, how the Brewers go about things.
Right.
I think that's a big play for trying to find that manager that understands that and has success. within it too.
And maybe, we go back to Giannis this offseason when the comments he made, well, maybe the Brewers have to show counsel that they're willing to make some moves to be competitive as well. Because you need to shore up that offense.
Yeah.
Woodruff's
not playing at all this year.
Yeah.
Because they're probably not going to bring in a number 2 starting pitcher.
The pitching staff has been what they've been able to do with the pitching staff the last few years, even with injuries, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's awesome. But when you're not scoring, that's been the biggest issue for that team.
Right.
Get in the postseason and you can't runs.
Yep. You're
going against the East and every team. So
right.
They need to find another bat there. Yelich at least had a bounce back season.
Mm-hmm.
Adames has been solid.
He's been a lightning rod for a lot of people too.
But because hitting 212 isn't gonna.
Right.
It's solid.
Unless you're Kyle Schwarber and you're hitting almost 50 home runs.
Right.
And then hitting 202.
Like 70% of your hits are home runs.
Right.
You're Rob Deering it up there every time you get up to bat. Contreras was a great. That was of the additions, Contreras was huge.
Yep.
But there's still a lot of the Patrick in that actually excelled, like a catcher who came in and actually was amazing. You can't do that every year.
Right. No. You're exactly right. So I'm a little nervous, but I feel like if these reports are on the up and up, that if these reports are on the up and up, I feel like the Brewers are his first choice. Because if you're willing to go to a team that with an offer saying, hey, the Mets are giving me this, I'll give you a chance to match it. If you're willing to do that, that's your number 1 choice, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that you'd rather go there,
and that's a lot of pressure. Not I mean, the Milwaukee pressure. Sure, there's pressure, but I think the media pressure in New York is a whole different world because you're not showing the Brewers on Sports Center every day if they lose. But if the Mets lose, it's always like if the Mets go under 500, it's like always a talking point because of just where they're at.
Mm-hmm. I know there's been some people, is he worth that much? What the market dictates. I'm not going to tell somebody is he worth a certain amount of money, or that's what it takes one team to do it.
Yeah.
It's the same when it comes to player free agency. We have this every year. Well, is that player worth? It's what the market dictates at that point.
Right.
Doesn't bother me. No. I'm not paying it.
I mean, unless you're afraid of long-term contracts with position players.
Right. Yeah.
Because of kind of Brewers getting burned a little bit the last times two times. That's the last 2 times they've dished out long-term contracts. Mm-hmm. That's about as many long-term position player contracts as they've dished out in 20 years.
Mm-hmm. I know there's that narrative, or it sounds like it's a real thing, that he wants to reset the manager market, so managers do get paid more.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure a lot of managers are probably thinking, hey, we appreciate that, Craig. Now, does he have the resume of a Bruce Bochy? No, he doesn't have 4 World Series titles. But Bruce Bochy's not a free agent manager right now. And I feel like if that's a goal of his, is to help other managers get more money, because we talk about that quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
Whoever's the next highest paid quarterback, that's going to last a year.
Oh, yeah, exactly, because it moves on.
It doesn't mean that next quarterback that gets the big contract's a better quarterback.
Joe Flacco.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
highest paid quarterback at one time in the league.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they're the best quarterback. It's just, okay, that's the next level. The next quarterback that's up for that.
That's why there's so much discussion with the running backs, because they're not getting paid, and it's bouncing. Everybody's going down with salary.
And I feel like this is what council apparently wants to do, is to set that new bar so that if a Bruce Bochy becomes a free agent, guy's going to get paid more than him.
Right.
All these other managers are going to get, oh, okay, now council's getting that. That's the benchmark. Okay, Bruce Bochy, you're going to get $9 million per year.
Yeah, the guy who you look at is a Mark Kotze.
Yeah.
He's not getting, I don't know what his amount is, but being in Oakland.
Yeah.
Their money is not flying around anywhere for that franchise. So he's the guy who would probably benefit from whatever council I'm getting. And if Kotze is interviewing for the Mets, that means he's a guy that people respect and is probably going to end up somewhere after this.
And you kind of wondered, I might be just spitballing here, and I know you got to get going here in a couple minutes, but could this also help? Because we have seen teams that are so quick to unload on managers sometimes. Right. And so I'll just use the example, Cardinals, right, where they've had some successful seasons and they let manager.
Yep.
Would this deter teams or stop teams potentially, making the switches from managers? Because if they set that new bar, that means prices go up for managers. Would teams maybe not kind of like, okay, we're going to go a cheaper route for a manager.
That the only thing that would probably end up hurting it is that if they decide to go just inexperienced,
Right.
and just hire somebody that hasn't had any major league
Right.
experience and is willing to work for less, which is part of any position in sports.
Yep.
There's always that potential for happening. So it would. I mean, it definitely would help the established guys. It's still their owners. They're going to find a way if they have to in Major League Baseball to cut money, because that's what they've been doing for 100 and how many years.
Yep. All right. So if Council, you're Mark Anasio.
Pay the money.
Council comes to you. Mets are giving me $7 million a year. You match it. I stay.
I would.
Would you say, give me the pen right away?
I say, okay. You have been a guy that has guided this team to success that it hasn't seen really, and they had obviously the '80s years, but they continued for success ever. If you want to be, that 1969 now, they are two oldest franchises not to have a World Series title, Padres and Brewers.
Yeah.
You want that to end, you got to have some stability.
Council doesn't come back, that delays it, in your opinion?
It can't help. I don't know. I mean, Gabe Kapler, there's all these names people throw around. There's people I'd say. I mean, even if Brewers tied.
I know Brandon mentioned Stephen Vogt, who's getting some interviews too.
Yeah. I mean, you have these guys that have ties. The whole idea of having Council there, to me, is such a great aesthetic when you look at it as the Wisconsin boy leading Wisconsin. For
all the talk about, LaFleur losing a locker room, I don't think we ever had that with Council.
No.
There was never that talk. If anything, players love our Council. Right. So, and he's been put in some difficult positions too. Yes, exactly. And they've managed to make the postseason. You're giving them a shot to win. Right. All right, JC. Appreciate it, man. No problem. Always love chatting with you, buddy. We got to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. It's getting to be that time of year where you're going to be having a bunch of people over in your home, whether you like it or not. So you want to make sure that your home is up to snuff with all those family and friends gatherings. And the first area you should be looking at to upgrade is the floors in your home. Just close your eyes for a few seconds and imagine that that one room or two in your home that would look amazing with a brand new carpet or some luxury vinyl planks or tile. Now I start to see that smile creeping over your face when you realize how jealous your friends are going to be, friends and family are going to be. So here's what you do. Head on over to Wisconsin's premier flooring store, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Their incredible team will help you find that perfect floor that will make your family and friends incredibly jealous, look awesome in your home, and fit within your budget. The team at Carpet City Flooring Center is like one big family over there. Seriously, you walk in there, you work with them, they're like one big happy family. And since we're talking about, we're getting ready to be spending a lot of time with family and friends in the next couple of months, why wouldn't you want to work with a business, with a team that operates like a family themselves? So give them a visit today at 3019 East Hamilton Avenue in EC, in Eau Claire. All right, let's we only got about 20 minutes left or so here. So we got more grades to get to here. We got C- for the Packers. This is from Sean. We got a D from Aaron over there, going with the D. We've got Bill. He's going with a D- for his grades for the Packers so far in the second quarter at that. So got a little bit of time left if you want to send over your grades yet. I'll try to get to those coming up here. We also have Bucks back in action tonight, taking on the Brooklyn Nets. I was looking. Oh, okay, never mind. Brooklyn Nets. So Bucks looking for their fourth win of the season. They're 3-2 right now, as we were kind of alluding to a little bit earlier. There's been some frustration from Bucks fans at the start of the season. There was that report out there that the Bucks players met with Adrian Griffin about kind of adjusting his defensive philosophy, and Adrian Griffin kind of said, I love the quote that he said. He heeded the advice of Bucks players that led to a successful adjustment against the Knicks there. And Adrian Griffin said, players sometimes are smarter than the coaches. This was his quote. As a player, it helps me to relate to the players too, because I know the players are in the trenches and they see things sometimes. We watch it sometimes on film, but they live it, and so that helps. My playing experience helps me kind of relate to and understand where they are coming from. So, but Brook Lopez, he had 8 blocks, boatload of blocks the other night there too. So it's a learning curve, I think, between Adrian Griffin and this Bucks team right now. That's why I thought at the beginning of the year, maybe the first few weeks, couple weeks, might be a little up and down. Might be some inconsistency as guys are kind of, getting used to each other, coaching staff, new players and such. I know there's even, if you go on social media, whether it's Facebook, the X, Twitter, Instagram, you're going to see graphics out there, comparing defensive numbers from the Bucks team this year compared to last year. And really they're focusing on Drew Holiday and Damian Lillard in a lot of those graphics. We knew that their defense was going to take a step back this year. Now, we probably don't want them to take that far of a step back, but just 5 games into this thing, let's see how they respond. Let's see how they continue throughout this season. Damian Lillard, we knew was going to be more of an offensive guy, that Giannis was going to have another offensive guy. Is he having a good start to the season? He's had a couple really great games, especially the opener. Is his 3-point percentage where we want it to be? No, it's not. But come on, 5 games into this thing, let's pump the brakes here a little bit. Let's just slow it down here. So, tip off 6:30. Coverage is going to begin on the radio dials 105.1 FM, 790 AM, at 6 p.m. So, but yeah, I mean, if you're looking at some of the stats and numbers, 5 games into the season here. Giannis doing his thing, 24 points, 8.4 rebounds. Damian, 23 points, 4.6 assists. over there. Brooke Lopez averaging 11 points. Bobby Portis averaging 10. Chris Middleton right now, he's only averaging 8.5. You'd like to probably see that number get up a little bit more, but he's also only been averaging, 17, a little over 17 minutes, just under 18 minutes per game at this point in time. He finally played in the fourth quarter for the first time the other night. They're obviously working his way back and being cautious with that knee, getting him more into game shape, increasing his minutes until he's hopefully, back to the Chris Middleton that we saw a few years ago. But his 21 minutes against the Knicks that he played, the most amount of minutes that he played this entire season. But he's doing more than just, not being that scorer. That's where I think bringing in Damian Lillard to be that number 2 option, we're going to see kind of a different version of Chris Middleton. One, he doesn't have to be that number 2. That pressure's not on there. But he's doing other things. Like, he grabbed 9 rebounds. He's more active on there. He's dishing it out more. So I think we got a little bit of a different version of Middleton. That's not a bad version either. It's not a bad one. But I think they're still working his way up, getting him into shape, working that knee in. And I'm excited to see what kind of player Chris Middleton is going to be right after Christmas or around Christmas, around that time frame. All right, we got to take our final break here. We'll do some studs and duds. Last call for your studs and duds. We'll hit that up in a few minutes. Are you ready to make a real difference in your community? Well, here's your chance with Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity, where they believe that everyone deserves a decent place to call home. For decades, Habitat for Humanity has been working tirelessly to build affordable, safe, and sustainable homes for families in need, but they can't do it alone. Picture a world where children have a stable roof over their heads, where families can create lasting memories, and where communities flourish. That's the vision they're working towards. And Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity wants you to be a part of it. Whether you're a skilled carpenter or simply have a heart full of goodwill, there's a place for you at Habitat. Join them as a volunteer, donate, or support their mission in any way you can, including shopping at the Restore. Your support means everything, and to the families whose lives you're helping transform. Visit cvh4h.org or stop by the Restore at 145 North Claremont Avenue in Eau Claire to learn how you can get involved. And since we're talking Habitat for Humanity, I want to invite you this Saturday for Veterans Day. Habitat for Humanity having an open house on Saturday from 1 to 4 at the old Grace Lutheran Church there. And because they're going to be converting that into apartments for homeless veterans. So this Saturday, 1 to 4, it's the Veterans Day open house. You can take a peek at the school to be converted into 11 apartments for unhoused veterans. They'll have some games going on for the kiddos and the adults. You can view the plans, all that stuff. I'll be over there checking it out too. So if you got some time Saturday to check it out, Habitat for Humanity doing some amazing work in our community. So quick look at the standings for our Pro Football Pick'em Challenge. Not a whole lot of changes over there. I know we got one more game coming up tonight here, but kind of it's still not a lot of movement. Looks like Brandon might have moved back into the to the first page of the leaderboard over there, so he finally had a good week to get back up there. But still, Tony first place with 93. Garrett right behind him with 91, so just 2 back. Henry and Tim tied there at third with 90. Peter sole possession of fourth. I'm in sole possession of fifth, and Brandon and Darren sitting there at 6. So you might want to get your picks in, start to think about it. We're already halfway through, so kind of getting close here where you can't afford to miss a game. So get those picks in by visiting sportstalk1051.com, clicking on that win tab, and getting them on in. Maybe we'll know more about some injury details to Kenny Clark and Christian Watson when Matt LaFleur chats with the media today. Christian Watson was evaluated for concussion and rib, chest, and back injury, but it sounds like he passed concussion protocol. Maybe, he landed on the football, so hopefully nothing too serious there. Kenny Clark didn't seem that concerned about his shoulder injury, but did say that they're going to be going through some tests and that sort of stuff there too. So we'll see if Matt LaFleur has any updates on that. Probably not, just knowing based off his previous history over there. So I haven't seen the Pro Football Focus grades out, so I'll wait for that maybe to tomorrow there too. Rick, I look at it like this: if a manager gets $7 million to standard his World Series, the reason they are a playoff team is because of David Stearns and Matt Arnold's ability to keep the team stacked with talent. The manager is the missing piece to get you over the top. He is below average in playoff games. Bochy is a closer and worth $7 million, not him. I kindly disagree with you, Rick. The whole worth thing, again, it's what the market dictates. If I were to pick between Bruce Bochy and Craig Counsell, I'd probably pick Bruce Bochy right now. But you know what? Bruce Bochy is not a free agent manager right now. Craig Counsell is a free agent manager, and there's teams that are willing to pay him, whether it's like that in free agency. We have this debate all the time when it gets to player free agency. It is what it is. We don't have to like it, but it is what it is. It's what the market dictates at this point. As far as David Stearns and Matt Arnold being the reason that they're a playoff team, they're good GMs, but I don't think Matt Arnold was the main reason why the Brewers got to the postseason last year. If I had to pick between the two, I would say Matt Arnold might have short-sighted the team in acquiring offensive talent to get some bats to help the pitching staff. The pitching staff that, David Stearns really put together there. And yes, he did bring back Wade Miley this year. Matt Arnold made a fantastic trade with William Contreras, but the Jesse Winker signing didn't work. The other moves, they didn't work. The patch-up signings over there. Craig Counsell's a good manager. He's a good manager. Let's face facts. He's a good manager. To quote Mike McCarthy, he's a highly successful quarterback or NFL coach. So I kindly disagree with you, Rick, in the fact that Matt Arnold and David Stearns were the reasons, or are the reasons, why the Brewers went to the postseason. They're a big part of it. They're good general managers, but I don't think it's. Craig Counsell had a lot to do with that too. And the fact that Craig Counsell managed this team with the inefficiencies of this offense to get to the postseason, I think that's a job well done on his part too. Just my opinion. So, a couple other texts to get to here. We've got D for the Packers here. Definitely more towards the offense. The defense has been a little bit better than the offense so far. That's according to Benjamin, it looks like. Dan, with the text that just came in here now, I don't understand why people hate Craig Counsell so much, given the fact that he's had different rosters, especially offensive players, almost every single year, and the guy still manages to put teams in position to win. That guy I don't want to see leave Milwaukee. We've got another grade coming in here. We've got this one looks like it's from Sean. Sean is going with a C-, a little bit higher for the defense. Offense, maybe I'm a little bit more optimistic, but I seen growth from yesterday, so I'm going a little bit with an arrow trending upward. David with a text from the Brewers. Brewers did not make the postseason because of Matt Arnold last year. That was because of pitching and Craig Counsell. Come on, you guys. I don't know. No, I want Counsell back. I want him back. And if the market dictates whatever that value is, that's what the market is. That's what it is at this point. So some team can, maybe a couple teams would be willing to pay him, some won't, but we'll see. Hopefully we'll have a solution to this either today or in the next couple of days here. But it is GM meetings, and that's why there's a lot of thoughts, speculation that maybe we will know in the next day or two. This is from Will Salmon, who used to cover the Brewers, now actually covers the Mets. We've had him on the show numerous times. Works for The Athletic. But he has a new piece out. How close are the Mets hiring their new manager? Craig Counsell continues to be the leading candidate. He's expected to make a decision relatively soon between whether to stick with the Brewers or head to New York or the Guardians. As The Athletic previously reported, Counsell is interested in raising the bar for manager salaries. There's a distinct possibility that he returns to Milwaukee if owner Mark Anasio makes a substantial offer. If not, and if Mets owner Steve Cohen offers a lot more, then Counsell may end up in New York. So that's about it. It looks like. I don't know if they're, that's about it, because it's mostly a Mets thing after that. So, all right, my studs and duds, really quick. Last, my stud, Agumawale. Come on, the former Badger running back, making a field goal yesterday, crunch time. Stud, baby, stud. He's on my studs and duds. I'm running out of time. I had a list here. He's on my studs over there. Duds. First of all, I hate to say this, I had one more stud too. Joshua Dobbs. I know it's a Vikings thing, but that was pretty impressive yesterday. Got the win, coming into it, getting traded. If you didn't know the whole story, kind of how they game planned that, go read it, because I don't have enough time there. Duds. Well, since we're going past the last week, Raiders with the whole Josh McDaniels thing. There was a thing where apparently Josh McDaniels told Antonio Pierce, don't diss the Patriots. We'll talk on that later. Have a good day.